You are watching the Notre Dame Recruiting Update, as always, with Mike Singer. My name is Trey Yanity. Thank you guys for joining us again as we get into the month of November now. Out of spooky season at this point, Mike. I want to hear how your Halloween was this Monday. I want to hear about how your week is going because you know what, man? Before this show, I had on an orange shirt. I was looking in the mirror and I realized that's not the color to be wearing this week, so forgive me for my wrinkles if you see them there. But it is Clemson Hate Week if you're a Notre Dame fan. Excited to talk about that matchup, but of course, excited to dive into the world of recruiting and everything that this weekend means for that. But as we get started, guys, going to need you to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. If you have not done so yet, you're going to want to do so because that's how you get involved in our comments section. Got to be a subscriber to get in the chat, and we want you to get in the chat, so please subscribe if you haven't done so. And guys, get your questions in that chat section as well, because if time allows it, we are going to get to as many as we can at the end of the show. But Mike, how was your Halloween this go-around?
You mentioned your orange shirt. I couldn't wear this shirt during Stanford week. Yeah. Halloween, I don't really remember. I really don't. Not because of any extracurricular activities, just because I was working and my wife was out of town, so we didn't really do anything fun. But yeah, it's been a good week, busy week. It just gets to be 10, 11 o'clock every night. It's like, man, I did not get everything accomplished that I wanted to for the day because there's just so many articles to write, so many updates. So, as we're recording this Thursday early afternoon, still a lot of preview articles to write. We're going to talk about a lot about Notre Dame's recruiting. This entire video is going to be Notre Dame recruiting weekend preview, but there's going to be even more kind of inside scoop nuggets that only our premium subscribers get at blueandgold.com. So I would definitely encourage you folks to head to the website and check that out. It's just $10. You get access to the start of next football season. So fantastic deal. And for you Notre Dame junkies, you'll definitely enjoy the website.
Yeah, guys, go check it out. Just $10 for an entire year of coverage. You do the math there, and it's just a couple dollars a month, guys. So please go check that out while you can. Maybe even less than that. I'm not very good at math. I guess 10 and 12 months, You're not even paying $1 per month. So guys, go check that out while you can here. But Mike, this show, a lot of guys to talk about. So maybe a little bit more of a rapid style today, but I kind of want to get to the names here. And a big name, the guy you might have seen in our thumbnail for this video, a name we've talked about throughout the history of this show, and a guy that is a very exciting prospect, Peyton Bowen, going to be visiting this weekend. Let's start with him and what you expect to see for Clemson Notre Dame as far as Peyton Bowen's visit.
It's such a big one. This is one of the bigger recruit of game days, and this is my fourth season covering Notre Dame. This is the biggest game day recruiting weekend. Maybe 2019 Notre Dame USC was massive. Last year's USC game was also huge, but this one is right up there, and you can make I don't even think it's much of an argument. It's Peyton Bowen's most important player visiting this weekend. 5-star safety, committed to Notre Dame, but it's no walk in the park for the Irish to actually get his signature come, what is signing day? December 20 something. I don't know. Whatever that third Wednesday in December is. It's not going to be an easy one for Notre Dame to hold on to. But it just seems like, Trey, for several months now, it's like, well, he's taking this visit and this is the week he's going to flip. Like, that's what all the other pundits think that cover difference goes, oh, it's really this week, guys. I promise you. It's like, is it? I feel like I'm talking to a conspiracy theorist. It's like, oh, no, this is the time. And here he is. It's early November and he still is committed to Notre Dame and visiting the Fighting Irish. Now, it's not to say that, again, Notre Dame has got an easy thing on their hands to keep him locked in. It's still very much a battle. He could very well flip to OU or A&M, and he's even liking Oregon, and maybe he takes a visit to Michigan. But for me, it's Notre Dame or for where he ends up, and I'm rolling with the Irish to keep him committed, or to keep him locked in and sign in December, but won't be easy. So yeah, it's a big visit. I think Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and A&M have all struggled this season. They have not been at their best. So for Notre Dame to come out against Clemson and have a statement performance, even if it's not a win against the number 4 team in the country, to have a really strong showing. I believe Bowen gets in on Friday. So there's that you get Friday, you get all day, all morning Saturday, all afternoon Saturday to spend time with him, in terms of the coaching staff. And I'm sure he heads out on Sunday. So a lot of good quality time. It's a big recruiting weekend for Notre Dame and Peyton Bowen. I would guess the last time he'll be on campus before signing day. So they definitely did knock it out of the park.
It's huge. Peyton Bowen, like you said, maybe the biggest visitor this weekend. I see Chris in the comments there. Like Mutombo said, no walk in the cake. Mutombo had his left hand up. I got my hands up here too, Mike, and I know we want to go rapid fire, but I got to ask you real quick.
Yeah.
It seems like it is smoke and mirrors a lot of the times. What do you look for when you talk about flips and guys that are maybe starting to think that way? What are the signs? Because I think it's difficult to maybe really feel official about some of these guys, especially a guy like Peyton Bowen.
Well, a lot of it is, just a good old saying, actions speak louder than words. So his actions of visiting, I think 5 different schools now since he's committed to Notre Dame. You got Oklahoma, A&M, Alabama, Ole Miss, Oregon. Maybe there's more in there. So that would say, like, my mantra is follow the visits. So, which is the same thing, kind of actually speak a lot of the words. Like, okay, we can say all this stuff and reporters can say whatever, but what are you actually doing? So that doesn't look great from that aspect. But if you want to talk about, he's only taken the one official visit. Obviously, Notre Dame does not want their commits to take official visits, to kind of have a policy, so to speak, of if you're a committed player, you take an official visit somewhere else. We don't see you as a committed player anymore, so he's avoided that. But so it kind of goes back and forth of what actions has he shown. Like, he's taken all these visits elsewhere, but it's also been 4 months, 5 months of people saying he's going to flip, and here we are. He's still committed to Notre Dame, so it's just kind of a wait and see thing. I mean, there's really nothing else I can say. I mean, I've written so much about Peyton Bowen these last few weeks. A lot of nuances in the recruitment to write about, but it really just boils down to, we'll see. I mean, there's really nothing else to say at this point.
Yeah, just got to wait and see. Let's move on to Khalil Barnes here. What are you expecting this weekend?
Yeah, that's another big one. And I was at his game last Friday, and we'll write an article from my interview with him tomorrow. It was that Friday, November 4th. So you can check that out at blueandgold.com, depending on when you're listening to this. So, I mean, he's kind of got it seems like a final group of Notre Dame, Clemson, and Oklahoma. He's going to officially visit the latter 2 schools later this month. Now, it's interesting. The RPM, which you can see on the screen, says that Clemson is the heavy leader. I don't think it's that clear. I think that Notre Dame is fairly neck and neck with Clemson. Then you got North Carolina's is in the mix. Ohio State hasn't offered, but they're talking to him. Same with Michigan. But I just got a sneaky suspicion that Notre Dame might pull this one off. Where they're recruiting him, it's been receiver, but do they start looking him at a cornerback? Because there's another player who we're going to talk about who Notre Dame's now heavily involved with at the receiver position, who's going to be our first time mentioning him on this show. So a lot of kind of moving parts and interesting facets to Notre Dame receiver recruiting as it relates to this 23 class. But Barnes is someone who the staff likes. Receivers coach Chancey Stuckey's really clicked with him. This will be his first time at Notre Dame. When I interviewed him Friday, he was talking about the importance of life after football. And I'm thinking to myself, Notre Dame's only been recruiting him for a couple of weeks. It's not like they are the ones that have kind of informed him on this reality of life after football. This is something he's always been thinking about. So that kind of bodes well for Notre Dame in that degree. So Clemson has the advantage of the close to home factor. I think Clemson, South Carolina is only just, a couple hours from where he's at in Athens, or if that. Whereas Notre Dame's much farther, but has that higher, prestige in the degree. So really interesting visit for this former Wake Forest commit. It is an official visit. So he has a game Friday night, and I believe that he's coming up Saturday morning and then heads back out Sunday night. So not a full 48 hours, but still a good opportunity for Notre Dame to really show him some love.
Yeah, big weekend, of course, with Clemson in town as well. Chance to prove it for Notre Dame here with Barnes. Let's talk about another wide receiver, this time Caleb Smith out of Frisco, Texas. Where does he stand at this point?
Yeah, so this is the guy I was just kind of hinting at. He's the new name. Committed to Texas Tech, made that pledge in February. That was his only offer, and is still is his only offer that he's announced at least. Notre Dame has offered him. He hasn't posted it on social media, but Fighting Irish are very much in pursuit of him. Again, guys, totally new name, not ranked very high at all. See the on3 consensus, we're talking about in the 1,000, the 1,000s nationally. But he's had a really strong senior season, good in all facets of the game. You see him on defense, special teams, receiver. Verified 4.49 at a camp over the summer. This is someone who Chancey Stuckey, Notre Dame's receivers coach, was actually recruiting when he was at Baylor. But then, of course, Notre Dame, took Stuckey away from Baylor. It's definitely a really interesting one. He's coming in unofficially. Does he flip this weekend? Is he wanting to stay closer to home and go to Texas Tech? Notre Dame's been quiet. There are a lot of guys behind the scenes that Notre Dame works really quietly on, and has. I mean, you just kind of see these names pop up. Oh, Caleb Smith, Khalil Barnes, just kind of out of nowhere, publicly, but again, privately, Notre Dame is laying the groundwork so that they're just not offering Caleb Smith and then asking them, "Hey, can you come visit?" like right away. This relationship's been formed for several weeks now. So again, folks, really intriguing visitor. We've talked a ton about Tayshawn Lyons, the 4-star receiver from Northern California, for the existence of this show. That one's trending away from Notre Dame. Just seems like the snap of a finger. That one's not looking as good for Notre Dame. Whereas Caleb Smith is now more trending towards the Irish. And I do think that Notre Dame will pull off that flip, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, a lot of wide receivers we've talked about on the show. It's going to be really interesting to see who emerges in this class of 2023. You're seeing Tayshawn Lyons' profile there. And I'm seeing some questions in the comments as well. Guys, continue to get those in. We're going to get to those at the end of the show here. Let's keep it rolling, though. And, a new name maybe in Caleb Smith, but I'm thinking an all-time name here in Rock Chalowski. Talk about what you expect with his visit.
Yeah, this one's interesting. I keep talking about these 2023 names that just pop up out of nowhere. So Chalowski's a UCLA baseball commit. I believe he plays shortstop. He was sat behind West Virginia's quarterback, signee of last season, Nico Markel. I can't remember his name, but at Hamilton High School in Arizona. And Chalowski starts this year and has played really well from what I'm told. He's got good size, great arm talent, and he's not someone who's played a ton of football, so he hasn't had all the quarterback training as a kid and all this stuff. So he's just kind of emerged here recently. I mean, no profile picture, like New Mexico State lean according to the RPM, because that's the only offer he's announced from Notre Dame. So it's interesting. Projected first round baseball. Okay, it does say Notre Dame's offered him, but I'm told he's being offered as a baseball player. So yeah, I need to update some of this. He's being offered as a baseball player. But obviously the rules are if he steps on, if he plays a snap at Notre Dame for the football team, then he would become a football scholarship prospect. So, and he's a quarterback, and it's so many interesting facets of this recruitment. This is one I'm definitely going to dive into at blueandgold.com. So check that out. But if he gets picked in the first round, and that money's calling, like that's tough to turn that down. So I like Notre Dame here still. We'll see what happens with the baseball aspect, but from what I'm told, Notre Dame baseball, Notre Dame football are after him, and he's a really intriguing player.
Yeah, obviously extremely athletic there, Rock Chalowski, and maybe looking forward to that baseball money, but it would be a huge get for Notre Dame baseball as well as football potentially here. So we keep it rolling. Let's move it along now to Aiden Schuler. Schuler, another one of these guys that we haven't talked about too much on this show. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, so Schuler is he picked up tons of offers. Notre Dame commit, but seen more schools get into the mix with him since committing last August. Alabama, A&M, handful, but Ohio State offered a few weeks back, and that kind of seemed like one that he's taking seriously and looking into. But I do expect Notre Dame to keep him locked in. Maybe he takes an unofficial Ohio State, something to monitor still. But I think getting him back on campus this weekend is important. Like where the Irish stand. I mean, look at that. I mean, Georgia's offered him, Florida, tons of schools. But I did just want to make sure we mention him because I think I talked about at the top of the show. You have all these big time Notre Dame commits on campus, and you don't want to take that for granted and just look at the shiny toys of the 2023 targets or the 2024 players. Don't forget about these commits like in 23. You need to show them a lot of love because Notre Dame's, I think it's number 3 class in the country right now in 23. You want to make sure that those guys are locked in, especially since, Ohio State's looking to flip some of these guys like Schuler.
Yeah, going to be big to keep the safety in this class here. We talked about Peyton Bowen a little bit earlier. Let's talk about another Bowen, this time Drake Bowen out of Maryville, Indiana. What are your thoughts here? Another guy interested in Notre Dame as well as Clemson.
Well, yeah, Bowen is unrelated, by the way. Just happen to have the same last name. Yeah, Bowen's been committed to Notre Dame. Since last November. Clemson was a finalist for him for sure. But just wanted to mention Bowen because he's fantastic, and this is his official visit. Chris, if you go to his recruiting tab and scroll down to the visits, I mean, I think this will be visit like 19, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah. 18. I mean, the guy's just on campus nonstop at Notre Dame. So it's always good for Notre Dame to have their main recruiter on campus of the 23 class, and he'll get that all expenses paid trip. Although it's not driving too far, but yeah. So good to have the leader on campus.
No doubt about it. Fun list of guys coming into town this weekend. Going to be really interesting to watch again. Peyton Bowen there out of Denton, Texas. Caleb Smith out of Frisco, Texas. Drake Bowen out of Maryville, Indiana. How about Mike Brown out of the tunnel and onto the field from step off and to lead the Irish to a victory here, guys? You're going to want to check out the Notre Dame Leprechauns Game Day at Notre Dame, as it is an officially licensed children's book that describes the beautiful pageantry of a football Saturday at Notre Dame. This book is filled with delightful illustrations that bring the magic of Notre Dame's campus to life for young readers. This charming read-aloud picture book is a celebration of true Fighting Irish spirit and the perfect gift for Notre Dame alumni, families, and fans of all things Irish. Guys, you're going to want to get your hands on this book. We've been talking about it all season long, and it only continues to add to the allure here as we get to these big matchups like Clemson. You want to experience that game day at Notre Dame from the perspective of a former Leprechaun in Mike Brown. And all you got to do is go to www.lepgameday.com and enter the code BG22. That's going to get you an author-signed copy of this book. Guys, that's as simple as lep-gameday.com. Entering the code BG22, you can get your personally signed copy from Mike Brown. Well, Leprechaun's Game Day at Notre Dame, been an excellent sponsor all year long, and happy to have him along here as we continue talking about this big Clemson weekend, Mike. We've talked about a lot of prospects coming in this 2023 class. But let's talk about 2024 a little bit here, and I see some comments already. A lot of people are interested in the class of 2024. Talk about some of the bigger names this weekend. Why don't we start with CJ Carr?
Yeah, so kind of talked about how important it is for Notre Dame to have their leader in the 23 cycle on campus. A little bit about 24. CJ Carr, a signal caller commit. And we talked about Chalowski in the 23 cycle, and it's like, man, as good as he might be just on paper, it's not looking good for Notre Dame in 23. Well, sigh of relief. It's fantastic in 24 with CJ Carr, who I think the world of as a player, and he is very in tune with Notre Dame's 2024 recruiting class and recruiting top targets on both sides of the ball. He's even tried to get involved in the 2023 recruiting as well. So good to have him on campus. Second visit this fall was also in for the Stanford game. So definitely good to have Carr in.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about a lot here. Quarterback is definitely an area of worry for 2023, but hey, 2024, You already have a lot of faith in CJ Carr. Let's talk about Owen Wafel a little bit. Touched on him last week, but what are you expecting from his visit this weekend?
I kind of like with Schuler, don't expect Wafel to be looking around. Or he's good with Notre Dame. He's a 4-star defensive line commit for the Irish in 24, but he just keeps up racking up new offers. I mean, he's been outstanding. I don't have the stats in front of me, but his junior season has been really good. I think it was Oklahoma offered him recently. I want to say he got Maryland the other day or something, and then his father's alma mater is Duke. And they offer. Now, why Duke didn't offer him a long time ago is beyond me, considering he's a legacy. But yeah, it's just, again, this theme of you have these commits on campus. Don't take for granted that they're committed and let your foot off the pedal, because other programs aren't letting their foot off the pedal. They're doing the opposite. So good to have him in. He's not the biggest guy, but he's just been a force. We get Lucas says in the comments, he's a unit. Yeah, he is, just kind of that bowling ball of a football player. He's not the tallest, but he's built like a truck, and he's a darn good player on the interior of Notre Dame's defensive line.
He's a tank, no doubt about it. You got to keep these guys committed here, like you said. How much has it changed, do you think, Mike, since maybe 2007, 2008 to now, with the way that guys flip and switch up the recruitment?
Well, I mean, it's totally different. I remember I don't cover baseball recruiting, but I just remember when I was in high school and we had a really good baseball program, and just knowing some of my buddies who were committing to schools and just hearing about, there's an unwritten rule in college baseball recruiting that when someone commits to a school, that's it. It's done. No one else recruits that player. But I see Notre Dame having baseball commits and decommits all the time. It seems like it's even leaked into other sports. It's hectic. When I first started covering college football recruiting was in 2013, and my boss at the time told me commitments aren't worth the paper that they're written on. Okay, geezer. And now I'm like, it didn't take me long to realize that he was 100% accurate, but if he was saying that in 2013, 10 years later, it's a lot more even back then. I mean, it's you might have a few decommitments here and there, and the top players in the country now, it's everywhere. And just look at this class alone, decommitments for Notre Dame. Running back Cedric Irvin, edge Keon Keeley. I'm sure there's another I'm forgetting. Last cycle, Notre Dame has 2 or 3 decommitments every single year. So, it's just one of those things that it's just come to expect.
Yeah, it feels drastic nowadays. That's why I ask it, because you look back and it really does feel night and day from what it used to be. But hey, it opens doors for teams like Notre Dame just the same. You hope to get some of these guys to flip to the program as well here. But let's keep talking about these 2024 guys. Brandon Davis Swain, a 4-star prospect out of West Bloomfield, Michigan, defensive lineman. What are you expecting from his visit?
Yeah, another Notre Dame commit, but he kind of picked the Irish out of the blue earlier this year. He was his first or second visit when he was on campus for the spring game, and just kind of just committed on the spot. Totally unexpected. Wasn't planning on doing it. But this is his first visit since the summer. He's been to Michigan a couple times this fall. It's just an interesting one. I don't really know, to answer your question. I don't know what to expect for. See, the comments in this YouTube video, Elijah Page, Justin Rhett, talking about all these decommitments. So that's 4: Page, Rhett, Keeley, and Irvin. I mean,
it's amazing.
Yeah, Searcher Green, I thought Notre Dame decommitted from Irvin. That's totally irrelevant. And we're just talking decommitments. Who initiated it is irrelevant. You just have all these decommitments now. It's just totally frequent. Could Davis Swain be that in 2024? Maybe. I don't. It was a kind of an odd commitment to start, because with Notre Dame, you don't really have many commitments that come out of the blue. The Notre Dame staff, from what I'm told, was even surprised. So maybe that was like a visit high kind of thing, and maybe he's come down off of it, and maybe he likes Michigan. I don't know. So I'm kind of giving you guys my take. What actually ends up happening, we'll see. But kind of just got a weird gut feeling on this one.
Yeah, definitely a different kind of recruitment story here in Davis Swain. What are your feelings on our next guy here, Anais Williams, coming into town this weekend out of the class of 2024 as well?
Man, we're just breezing through a lot of names. Okay, you got this, Mike.
Rapid fire, Mike.
All right.
What's in your brain on?
I guess this is what I asked for, so I can't complain. Yeah. So, I mean, his visits, Chris, if you can go to the recruiting tab, Chris, our producer behind the scenes, and the amount of times he's been to Notre Dame, this will be his 4th since April. So that's what, 4 visits in 7 months, and he's just consistently going back to Notre Dame over and over and over again. I think that's a really good sign for Notre Dame's chances here. Alabama's after him, Ohio State, Missouri in-state school. I know he likes Kentucky, been there once or twice. So early in the recruitment, but definitely a big name for the Irish coming on campus. Running back recruiting has just been so good for Notre Dame. From time Lance Taylor was here for a few years into now Deland McCullough, I should say. It's just been very good, and you see that in the 23 class of 3 impressive running backs pledged, and getting into 24, you got a guy like Anais Williams at the top of the board.
I love seeing these skill guys in the class of 2024, and just a few more names to get to here. Another K name here, Chris with a K, Chris Jones. What are your thoughts there?
It's not someone we talk much about. It's just not someone who's written about a ton, or we talk about him in these videos, but 4-star linebacker, right around the top 100 per the On3 consensus and On3's own rankings. Notre Dame loves him, from what I'm told. So he visited Notre Dame over the summer. He's back for this Clemson game. It can be tough to pull kids out of the DMV area away from Penn State, and the RPM does like Penn State from right now. But I got a sneaky feeling that Notre Dame might pull off the upset here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Carson Hobbs up next. How do you feel about him?
South Carolina cornerback commit, taking a second visit to Notre Dame this fall alone. So told me he grew up a big Notre Dame fan. So it's like, you got a kid from Ohio, committed to early pledge to South Carolina, and he grew up a Notre Dame fan. I think I like where the Irish stand on that one. So just a name to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, out of Archbishop Moeller there, one of the coolest high school names in the country, committed to South Carolina at the moment.
Trey, the high school names thing. I mean, there's a player where is not on our list to talk about, Garrett Stover from Big Walnut High School.
Big Walnut, man.
I mean, dude, I've covered thousands and thousands of recruits, right? And the names of these high schools are just so ridiculous. Maybe there's some amazing story about maybe there's some great story about Big Walnut, but like I think my favorite might be Joe Alt's, Notre Dame's future, top 10 pick on the offensive tackle position, Totino Grace High School, I want to say it is. Totino, as in the pizza roll. Totino.
I was going to say, I mean, I know a classic in-home brand that I like to snack on at times. How about that? Get your name on a school there as well.
Yes. It's the best.
Awesome.
The high school names can be amazing.
It's great. We need to have a rankings here. We'll take some time and maybe break down a top 10 of the best high school names in the country there. But Archbishop Moeller certainly catches my eye in Cincinnati. As we wrap up this class of 2024 as far as visits go this weekend, another Bowen. This one I think with a little bit more relation there, out of Denton, Texas, Eli Bowen. What do you think here?
Yeah, he is related to Peyton. 2024 corner, 3-star player. I think if he were a couple inches taller, he might be one of the best corners in his class, but certainly a productive guy. Even though he's not getting a ton of passes thrown his way, he's been good in special teams. Actually, no, he had an interception return for a touchdown earlier this season, as brother Peyton's the one who's tearing it up special teams. I think he could be like a solid nickel guy for Notre Dame at the next level. So I've been told that all of Peyton's visits to Notre Dame, Eli has also taken. So I think it's just like Notre Dame has done so well with siblings over the years. I mean, you're going back to, in the 70s, Notre Dame just fantastic with, getting brothers at Notre Dame. So I think you can see that trend continue, maybe with the Bowen brothers, maybe Jay Sean and Jaden Lamar. Jaden Lamar's a running back commit for the Irish. Notre Dame just offered his younger brother over the weekend. So I think you're going to see that continue, that trend continue. It's done well for Notre Dame, and I know the staff would love to have Eli and Peyton together.
Always fun to see. I mean, it's a package deal. Hopefully that's the case for the Bowen brothers, maybe the Lamar brothers there as well. One more guy I do want to talk about in this 2024 class. You might know his name from current college football. Bryce Young, not the Heisman winning quarterback for Alabama. No, this is an edge rusher out of that class of 2024. I saw you had a new prediction for Notre Dame to land Bryce Young. Talk about what went into that decision on your end here, and what we need to know about Young.
Well, what you need to know first is his father is Bryant Young, who is one of the best defensive linemen we've seen at Notre Dame. And he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was just inducted earlier this year. So when Notre Dame offered him over the summer, the first school to offer him, maybe their second. He just has two at this point, Notre Dame and Duke. So when Notre Dame offers him, it's like, all right. It's hard to see him going anywhere else, if Notre Dame is like, all right, let's go get him at this point. And Notre Dame he's visiting this weekend, I'll say. And if Notre Dame is really going to push for him, whether it's this weekend or in several months from now, I don't know when, but I think Notre Dame's going to land him. Sources on the Irish side of things are very excited about Bryce Young and where they stand with Again, when they could land him, don't know, but I put in that prediction because if Notre Dame's going to be after Bryant Young's kid, and he's got two offers at this point, Notre Dame and Duke, and Notre Dame has been doing a really good job in this recruitment, I like them to win it.
Yeah, I do too. Love to get the legacy there in Bryce Young. Going to be really fun to follow these 24 recruits. And this weekend in general, guys, check us out at blueandgold.com. Just $10 for a year. A huge weekend. Mike said it earlier. Maybe the biggest weekend of the entire year. Maybe the biggest weekend of the decade, even in recent memory, at least, as Clemson comes up to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Mike, as we close it out here, got to thank everybody for getting in the chat today. Ran out of time. Not going to be able to get to the questions for this one, but be back next week, guys, and we'll definitely get to some of those questions as well. Big shout out to our producer, Chris, in the background, doing a great job as always. And for Mike, excellent here as we roll into this month of November. You guys, like I said, going to want to check out blueandgold.com, and you're going to want to check out the rest of our YouTube page as well. Hit that subscribe button if you've not already done so here. I'm choking up just thinking about it, Mike. And guys, on your way out, please hit that like button for me. Help this video grow. Get us to 500 likes. And be back next week, same time. We'll see you then. For Mike Singer, my name is Trey Yanity. Have a great week, everybody. Let's go Irish.